They said the 22 long rifle would never be lethal, that it was only for practice, plinking, or teaching beginners how to shoot. But in America today, that thinking can get you in trouble, because the reality is modern 22 long rifle loads have been engineered to hit harder, fly faster, and expand more violently than ever before. So let's break down the 12 deadliest 22 long rifle rounds you can buy in America today, starting with a round designed to push the limits of velocity itself. Number 12, Aguila Super Maximum and Hypervelocity variants. Aguila has built a name for itself by squeezing every bit of power out of rimfire cartridges. And their Super Maximum lineup shows exactly what happens when you choose extreme speed. Unlike standard 22 long rifle loads that hover around 1,200 feet per second, the Super Maximum uses lighter bullets, some as low as 30 grains, and propels them past 1,700 feet per second from a rifle. That's not just fast, that's blistering, and it gives these rounds an impact energy most shooters never associate with rimfire. Because of that velocity, the Super Maximum tends to fragment aggressively in soft tissue, tearing open wound channels that rival bigger calibers. Hunters often describe varmints dropping instantly with no chance of recovery. The downside is penetration. Lighter bullets can shed energy quickly, but at close range, the destructive effect is undeniable. Another benefit is their ability to cycle reliably in semi-automatics, thanks to the extra pressure created by that high-velocity load. These rounds usually sell for the $7 to $9 range for a box of 50, making them surprisingly affordable for how much performance they bring. They're not subtle. They're not quiet. They're raw speed in rimfire form. And while speed is impressive, the next round proves that sheer energy transfer can be just as terrifying. Number 11, Aguila 38 grain copper-plated hollow point. At first glance, the Aguila 38 grain CPHP looks like a budget hunting round, but it has a hidden reputation for punching above its price tag. This midweight bullet balances speed and mass beautifully, leaving a rifle barrel at around 1,280 feet per second. That's fast enough to guarantee reliable expansion while keeping enough weight to dig deeper than many lighter hollow points. In ballistic gel, this round consistently mushrooms into sharp, jagged shapes that carve wound channels wider than you'd expect from a rimfire. Penetration typically lands between 9 and 11 inches, a range that makes it deadly at defensive distances while still practical for small game hunting. The copper plating helps reduce barrel fouling and smooths feeding in semi-automatics, meaning shooters can run hundreds of rounds without reliability issues. Another advantage is Aguila's reputation for primer consistency. While some budget 22 long rifle rounds suffer from frequent misfire, this round ignites reliably, rivaling brands like CCI and Federal. And with prices usually between $5 and $7 for a box of 50, it's one of the most affordable hollow points that can still deliver serious damage. For shooters who want performance without paying premium prices, the Aguila 38 CPHP is proof that you don't need to break the bank for lethality. This round feels like a sleeper pick. The next one brings us back to a true classic, trusted by generations of shooters for its balance of power and reliability. Number 10, Remington Yellow Jacket 33 grain hollow point. The Remington Yellow Jacket has been around for decades, and while it doesn't always get the spotlight, seasoned shooters know it's one of the most vicious little hollow points you can find. The bullet design is what sets it apart, using a truncated cone shape that bites into tissue before the hollow cavity forces the projectile to peel back violently on impact. From a rifle, it pushes a 33 grain bullet at blistering speeds near 1,500 feet per second. That velocity, combined with the aggressive profile, makes for dramatic expansion, often mushrooming to nearly double its original size. In gel testing, penetration usually runs in the 9 to 11 inch range, placing it right in the zone for defensive use. For hunters, it has long been a favorite for small game, where exit wounds are surprisingly large for such a small caliber. Reliability is solid, too, with the Yellow Jacket cycling smoothly in most semi-automatics, though it can run a little dirtier than premium loads. Still, the trade-off is raw terminal performance at a very reasonable cost. You can usually find boxes of 50 priced between $6 and $8, making it both deadly and budget-friendly. If the Yellow Jacket proves how expansion can make a rimfire lethal, the next round shows that precision and consistency can turn a .22 into a tool trusted by shooters across every discipline. Number 9, CCI Mini Mag 36 grain copper-plated hollow point. Few rimfire loads have the reputation that CCI's Mini Mag carries. It's been a go-to round for generations, and for good reason. The 36 grain plated hollow point runs at about 1,260 feet per second from a rifle, delivering enough speed for dependable expansion while keeping the weight to ensure respectable penetration. In gel testing, the Mini-Mag produces clean mushrooming and wound channels that surprise shooters who dismiss the .22 as underpowered. Penetration typically sits around 10 inches, a balance that makes it effective both for hunting and defensive situations. Small game hunters have long praised it for how quickly it drops targets, while defensive shooters appreciate its consistency and accuracy under pressure. Another strength is reliability. Semi-automatics that choke on cheaper rimfire loads often run Mini-Mags flawlessly. CCI's tight quality control, clean burning powder, and dependable primers give this round a reputation for being nearly malfunction-proof. Shooters also note that it runs clean, keeping fouling minimal even during long-range sessions. Priced usually around $8 to $10 for a 100-round box, it's one of the best values in high-performance rimfire. The Mini-Mag may not be the flashiest load, but when you need a .22 that works every time, its track record is unmatched. And while reliability is critical, the next round proves that sheer mass and classic design can be just as deadly. Number 8, Winchester Super X 40 grain copper-plated hollow point. The Winchester Super X line is one of the most recognizable names in rimfire ammunition, and the 40 grain copper-plated hollow point shows exactly why it has stood the test of time. This isn't a flashy gimmick round, it's a workhorse designed to deliver consistent results every time you pull the trigger. With a muzzle velocity of about 1,435 feet per second from a rifle, it carries enough speed to expand reliably while still maintaining the weight needed for deeper penetration. In ballistic gel, it typically drives to around 12 inches while opening into a sharp-edged mushroom profile that maximizes tissue disruption. That combination of depth and expansion lands it right in the sweet spot for defensive use, proving that sometimes traditional designs are still the deadliest. The copper plating not only helps with smoother feeding in semi-automatics, but also reduces barrel fouling, making it a favorite among high-volume shooters. Hunters rely on it for small game where quick, humane kills matter, and defensive shooters trust it for the confidence that every shot will cycle clean and hit hard. Misfires are rare thanks to Winchester's quality primers, and accuracy remains consistent across rifles and pistols. At around $7 to $10 per 50-round box, the Super X strikes a balance between affordability and lethal performance. But while this round is all about reliability and balance, the next one flips the script by chasing raw velocity with a lighter bullet and a cleaner burn. Number 7, CCI Clean 22 Hypervelocity 31 grain polymer-coated round nose. CCI is known for innovation, and the Clean 22 Hypervelocity takes that reputation seriously. Instead of sticking with a traditional lead hollow point, this round uses a light 31 grain bullet coated in polymer. That coating reduces fouling inside the barrel, which is a big advantage for high-volume shooting where dirty ammo can quickly become a problem. From a rifle, it reaches speeds of about 1,550 feet per second, putting it firmly in the hypervelocity category. That kind of speed gives the clean .22 the ability to transfer energy fast and hit harder than its simple round nose design would suggest. While it doesn't fragment or expand like hollow points, its blistering velocity means it punches deeper than expected, often exceeding penetration of lighter hollow point rounds that lose mass too quickly. Another advantage is how clean it runs. Shooters often report being able to run hundreds of rounds without the usual buildup of lead or carbon fouling, keeping their rifles and pistols more reliable during extended sessions. Accuracy is tight as well, providing that you don't always need a hollow point for lethal performance. Sometimes speed and efficiency are enough. Priced at around $9 to $11 for a box of 50, it sits in the premium tier, but pays off in consistency and maintenance savings. And while this round shows what hypervelocity can do when paired with cleaner technology, the next one goes back to a heavier bullet that blends speed with expansion for a lethal all-around option. Number 6. Aguila Interceptor 40 grain solid point. The Aguila Interceptor is all about pushing the .22 long rifle to its absolute limit while still carrying a full-weight 40-grain bullet. Most rimfire rounds drop bullet weight to chase higher velocity, but the Interceptor manages to keep its mass and still scream out of the rifle at about 1,470 feet per second. That combination makes it one of the fastest heavy loads available in the rimfire world. Instead of a hollow point, the Interceptor uses a copper-plated solid nose. This design doesn't rely on expansion, but instead delivers devastating penetration. In ballistic gel, it routinely outdrives lighter hollow points, staying intact while creating deep, consistent wound tracks. That makes it especially effective in situations where barriers like heavy clothing, bone, or light cover can slow down or deform other rounds. Shooters also appreciate its reliability. Many semi-automatics that struggle with weaker ammunition cycle smoothly with the Interceptor thanks to its high pressure and consistent ignition. The copper plating keeps fouling down and ensures smooth feeding, even in rifles or pistols that are known for being picky with ammo. At around $6 to $8 for a box of 50, the Aguila Interceptor is both affordable and brutally effective. It may not expand, but when penetration is what matters, this round delivers. Number 5. Federal Punch Defense 29 grain flat nose. Federal engineered the Punch defense line specifically to make rimfire a real option for personal protection, and the .22 long rifle version has become a standout. Unlike traditional hollow points, this load uses a 29-grain flat-nose bullet designed to crush tissue and transfer energy directly into the target instead of slipping through. From compact pistols, it averages about 1,070 feet per second, which might not sound extreme until you see the penetration results. In ballistic gel testing, the Punch consistently drives 10 to 12 inches deep, falling right inside the FBI's recommended standard for defensive ammunition. That's something very few .22 long rifle loads can achieve, especially from short barrels. Another advantage is consistency across barriers. Because the bullet doesn't depend on expansion, its performance stays reliable, even when shot through denim or light materials. The casing is nickel-plated to resist corrosion and improve feeding, while the powder charge is tuned for smooth cycling in semi-automatics that often struggle with rimfire reliability. With prices usually around $9 to $11 for a box of 50, the Punch isn't cheap, but you're paying for a round designed with defense in mind, not plinking. For anyone who wants .22 long rifle to be a legitimate option for protection, this is one of the few that truly delivers. Number 4. Winchester Silvertip 37-grain segmenting hollow point. The Winchester Silvertip is one of the few .22 long rifle rounds designed specifically for defensive handguns, and it shows in the details. Instead of a simple hollow point, it uses a segmenting bullet that breaks into multiple petals on impact, multiplying the damage potential. From shorter barrels, velocity averages about 1,060 feet per second, which might seem modest compared to hypervelocity rifle loads, but speed isn't the Silvertip's main trick. In gel testing, the bullet consistently splits apart, creating multiple wound channels that far exceed the performance of standard rimfire rounds. That fragmentation effect turns what looks like a mild cartridge into a serious defensive tool. The nickel-plated cases feed smoothly in semi-automatics, and the load has been tuned for dependable ignition and cycling in pistols that often struggle with rimfire reliability. For shooters who want a round optimized for short barrel defense, the Silvertip delivers both control and destructive impact. At $9 to $12 per 50-round box, it isn't the cheapest, but you're paying for specialized design. And if fragmentation makes the Silvertip lethal, the next round climbs into the top 3 by showing how a heavy, traditional hollow point can balance speed and penetration to perfection. Number 3. Norma Hunter Power 40-grain hollow point. Norma might not dominate American shelves in the way Federal or CCI do, but their Hunter Power .22 long rifle has quietly earned respect among serious shooters. Built around a 40-grain hollow point, it combines accuracy, consistent expansion, and the penetration needed for small game hunting or defensive use. From a rifle, it runs about 1,260 to 1,270 feet per second, fast enough to mushroom reliably without shedding all of its energy too soon. In gel testing, penetration falls neatly between 10 and 12 inches with uniform expansion that cuts wider wound paths than you'd expect from such a modern cartridge. The round also performs surprisingly well out of shorter pistols, thanks to a deep cavity design that initiates expansion even at reduced velocities. Norma's tight manufacturing standards give it smooth feeding and clean burn, which helps maintain accuracy and reliability across extended shooting sessions. Priced between $9 and $12 for a box of 50, it's a premium option that lives up to its billing. That makes the Hunter Power a quiet killer, precise and effective. But the next entry isn't about balance or subtlety, it's about raw speed, record-breaking velocity, and a reputation so fierce that even decades after its debut, it's still one of the fastest rim-fired loads money can buy. Number 2. CCI Stinger 32-grain copper-plated hollow point. The CCI Stinger is one of the most famous .22 long rifle rounds ever made, and for good reason. When it launched in the 1970s, it redefined what rimfire ammunition could do, becoming the original hypervelocity load. Instead of a standard 40-grain bullet, the Stinger uses a lighter 32-grain hollow point in a slightly lengthened case, allowing for more powder and much higher speeds. From a rifle, the Stinger rockets out at roughly 1,640 feet per second, making it one of the fastest .22 long rifle rounds on the market. That speed translates into explosive performance on impact. In ballistic gel, it creates violent expansion and massive wound cavities, especially at close range. Hunters often describe varmints hit with Stingers as going down instantly, with the bullet delivering shocking energy transfer for such a small caliber. Accuracy is another hallmark of the Stinger. Despite the extreme velocity, it maintains consistent grouping and cycles reliably in most semi-automatic firearms. CCI's clean burning powder and legendary quality control mean misfires are nearly non-existent, making it a trusted choice whether you're shooting targets or relying on it for defense. Typically priced at around $9 to $11 per 50-round box, the Stinger proves that power doesn't have to come at a high cost. It's the round you load when you want maximum speed and maximum disruption. And yet, for all its blistering velocity, there's one .22 long rifle load that edges it out, by combining heavy weight, hard-hitting penetration, and controlled expansion. That's why it takes the #1 spot. Number 1 CCI Velociter, 40-grain copper-plated hollow point. If there's one .22 long rifle round that consistently earns respect as a serious defensive option, it's the CCI Velociter. While many high-performance rimfire loads go lighter and faster, the Velociter sticks with a full 40-grain bullet and still pushes it to about 1,435 feet per second from a rifle. That combination of weight and velocity gives it something rare in the rimfire world: deep penetration paired with reliable expansion. In ballistic gel, the Velociter regularly drives 12 inches or more while still opening up into wide mushroom shapes. That means you're not forced to choose between depth and disruption. It delivers both. Unlike some lighter hypervelocity loads that fragment or fizzle out after a few inches, this one holds together, carrying its energy through the target and leaving wound channels that rival larger calibers. It's equally effective from pistols, where it still maintains enough velocity to expand, something many .22 long rifle loads struggle with in short barrels. Hunters use it for varmints and even predators, while defensive shooters choose it for its rare mix of accuracy, consistency, and genuine stopping power. CCI's famously clean powder and tight case tolerances ensure reliable cycling and near-flawless ignition across rifles and semi-automatics alike. At around $10 to $12 for a 50-round box, the Velociter sits at the top of the .22 long rifle food chain for a reason. It isn't about gimmicks or fragile fragmentation. It's about turning the rimfire into a cartridge that demands to be taken seriously. Check out our next video, where we reveal the best .22 long rifle self-defense loads you can buy in 2025.